just like that, season 2, episode 1 of Loki has come and gone. No, we didn't time slip. That was in real time. We got to see some awesomeness, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. For those of you who stayed up to watch this show live, I hope it's because you watched the show and you want to hear our thoughts. And those of you catching the replay, we greatly appreciate it. Sound off in the comments. Let us know what you guys thought of the episode as well. But guys, what an episode. What'd you guys think of this? Ooh. Anthony, kick it off.
I loved it. What more could I say? I loved it. It reminded me why Loki was my favorite MCU show. It was so good. Strong start.
Yep.
The only thing that sucks about this review that we're going to have today, other than I love talking with the boys and everything, is the fact that we all loved it. Yep. I was talking to a friend right before we got on, and I'm like, I don't think I would change a thing.
Yeah.
Like, not even a line. Like, the line delivery by these guys, the presence they have on screen, it's incredible.
It was great.
Honestly.
It was definitely a great episode. But before we get into it, I just want to let everybody know who here is on the panel. So we've got Anthony over from Reference Point Podcast, which is an awesome channel. Definitely go check it out. Available on Spotify and pretty much all platforms, right? Apple Music and so forth.
Yeah, literally everything.
There you go. And then making his debut, first time ever on YouTube. Look at him right here, Chiapet. So I greatly appreciate you hopping on.
How you guys
doing?
Appearance.
Yeah, man. First appearance.
This is a big stream. You guys got to collect this one. It's going to be a collector's item.
There you go. I appreciate you, obviously choosing to come on my show for your first show. But all right, let's get into it because there's a lot to unpack. Right out the gate, we saw Loki pretty much take off from where we left off, right? He was taking off, running away from Mobius, the TVA. There was a lot going on. It was instant intensity, right? I felt like, holy shit, okay, they're going 100% right out the gate. What'd you guys think of it right out the gate?
I loved how it just followed up season 1, like straight up from like the minute season 1 ended. Like they went straight into it. No, mini time jump. We're gonna find out what happened through flashback. Nope, we're in it. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. And I really like how they paid off the cliffhanger from season 1. Not the direction I exactly thought they were going.
Yeah.
But definitely one that I think is a great direction.
Yeah. No. That was sorry, Jolando, you wanted to say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. That was the thing that for me, like all the theories that were going around, like, he's in a different TVA. The TVA has been rewritten. Why is there a Kang statue? And it was so much more simple and so much more interesting the way they picked it up. And another thing that was shocking is there's a new director, because I believe the original director, Anthony, you may know her name, Heron.
It was
Catherine
Kate Herron.
Yeah,
Kate Herron, and then they even changed the writing team.
And writer and Walden are no longer there. Okay, I know that the writer of this one was part of the other writing team.
Yeah,
and
Eric
I think
Martin.
These guys. Yeah, but the thing about it is, it felt completely seamless.
Yeah, exactly. Just very quickly before we continue with the chat, I see you guys here. We're gonna definitely bring up your comments and keep the talk rolling. So I appreciate everybody for coming out, hanging out with us tonight. Like I said, let us know what you guys thought in the comments. We're gonna bring up the comments, and if you guys have any pointers, questions, we'll address it. But so Chiapet, like you said, we got a new writer, a new director, and I gotta say, first off, visually, I loved it. I loved it from front to back, man. The settings, the scenery, everything about it was just insane.
It felt
the
real.
First frame of Jonathan Majors' face as a statue. I just like, whoa, you feel it, man.
Did you guys notice a little bit of a granular filter on the scenes?
Yeah.
There was, right? That wasn't there in the first season. Same color palette and everything, but there was a filter or a tone on this, like a sepia type thing going throughout the whole thing, right?
Yep.
Especially when you see the recap of season 1 and then it cuts into season 2, you could see that's where I noticed the change.
But they added also that similar type thing on season 1 a little bit too. Go pay attention.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that there was a weird vibe. Also the music. Oh my God, the music.
Very
Natalie
fitting.
Holt killing it. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, the music was great. Now, what was cool about this episode, we got to see now the time slipping stuff take place, right? So out the gate, we saw Loki going through madness, right? And then after he throws himself off of the ledge, ends up in the back of that
Yeah.
floating, I guess, pickup truck. We could say I have no idea what.
Future pickup
Spirals,
truck.
yeah, spirals crashes into that room, and we see now, that little logo of the timekeepers, right, has
Yeah.
a crack in it, and we see the time slip to the future, right? And
Yeah.
and the crack is there. So we're seeing now that where Loki ends up when time slipping, whether it's the past or the future, can impact the timeline, right? So when he's in the past, that crash now, it's there in the future. You see that crack in the floor, and he asks, "How long has that been there?" And the answer was, "It's pretty much been there forever," right? So it was cool to see out the gates the impact, right?
Yeah. What's so funny is when he was time slipping, this is gonna sound so funny now, but I thought he was glitching like in Across the Spider Verse or Into
Yeah.
the Spider Verse. I thought
Yes,
they were taking
yes,
that, so I'm like, oh, cool, they're doing that. That's like, oh no, he's time slipping. Oh, never mind,
yeah,
my bad.
yeah.
So,
Colossus Collector, Steph's Comics, everybody here. Appreciate you guys coming to hang out. But
yeah,
yeah, man, Chiapet, it clearly played a big role, right, within things that happened within this episode. We won't jump to the end of what
Yeah.
happened. We'll get there gradually, but the time slipping thing, now we started to make sense of everything, right? When it comes to the time slipping and the impacts
yeah,
of Loki.
I'm curious though. I think this time rules here are different than the ones established in Endgame.
Hmm.
what do you mean?
Because the Endgame was you can't change your present, but here you can. Because it was clear that your present becomes wherever you are in Endgame, right? And then the future. Remember, there was a specific timeline where they said that you don't rewrite it, right? So that's how you can't go back and kill Hitler, and then Hitler would be gone, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Here, you are doing that. So there's
Exactly.
a set here, and I think that's a specific change for the TVA, because the
Yep.
TVA would be something different. It's a pocket place, and I think it works differently there. It's outside.
and even from the first season, they've always been teasing that the time's never the same like the regular
Yes.
MCU.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I
it
think
lines
that's a
up.
specific thing that they're trying to show us.
Yeah.
That here
Yeah.
there's a different causality in time and actions you do in the past.
Yep. Exactly. Now you see, like I said, Loki ends up time slipping and so forth, but when he's back within the present, he ends up in a timeline where he's back with the OG Mobius, right? The original Mobius,
Yeah.
and it's chaos. It's chaos, the timelines, the branching, it's madness, which is what we expected, right? Immediately after what's taking place from season 1. Now, yeah, we see he's there with Mobius. They're making their way to the war room, right? And
Yeah.
this is where they're going to have that debate, the discussion, and he time slips again. He's gone. So when they get in there, we see Liz Carr, right? Liz Carr is now playing Judge Gamble. So I
Yeah.
guess that's what they're
Yeah.
calling her here, because in comics we know Justin Gamble. I don't think they're going with Justine Gamble
No.
at this point.
They might.
Yeah, but I thought she did a great job. I thought she was pretty solid within the role, and we're seeing two sides, two perspectives. One side where you see loyalty to the TVA, and then you see Liz Carr. But that moment
Yeah.
when Loki slips back. Now, what's her name there? The agent from TVA that was with Loki. Does anybody here remember what her name was?
Hunter B-15.
Yeah, I'll say B-15.
Exactly. So she's there with Loki, speaking her case, and then you have Loki, time slip back into the room. Everyone's freaked out. There's that one guy that's there. What I forgot what his name is. B something. But
The
yeah,
guy who pruned Mobius.
exactly. And then
that guy.
no, the
Wasn't
guy who
him.
pruned
No.
Mobius is the guy who was on the way out of the room. But then Loki comes in and he prunes the wall because he noticed when he
Yeah.
time slipped
Yes.
and was in the war room that the wall was faces of Kang, and then
Yeah.
prunes the wall in current timeline where you have the timekeepers, right?
Mhm.
So when he prunes it, then it exposes that Kang is the one that was behind that timeline.
He created it.
It shook them. It just shook them
Yeah.
to the core. So that was a pretty cool scene. I like that one.
What I liked also was when Loki's in the past, he's listening to that tape recorder, and he hears Ravonna Renslayer talking with He Who Remains.
Yes.
We're finally getting bits of that relationship.
That was my I think that was my favorite part of everything I liked there.
Yeah.
The fact that you heard finally the birth or the first utterings of them together, and it was almost as if they were in a triumphant party, or I could picture them just pouring a drink and being happy that they've won at that moment, and that it echoed for me when Kang in Quantumania was asked by Michelle Pfeiffer, by Janet, what did they take? And he said they took everything. Mm-hmm. How I always felt that was not just them exercising. That was Ravonna.
Yeah.
They took her from him. And that drove him mad, I think. You know, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Kang who was with Ravonna is different than the He Who Remains Kang.
Yeah.
For sure.
He had to take himself, maybe, think about it. He Who Remains might have had to take himself away from Ravonna for her own good and for the timeline's own good. That's his tragedy, to live alone. But he put her in a place where he could always see her because he loves her so much. And I think that's going to be the core of why we're going to feel sympathy for Kang at the end. The Thanos element of Thanos was right kind of thing.
Exactly. So the same scale right there, where you're gonna feel for the villain. And Thanos made sense, right? Thanos made sense behind what his motives were.
He had a point, you know.
Let's keep the genocide love. I think for our first. We'll leave it for our 6th episode.
Try not to get canceled yet too early into the show, you know.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you had some sympathy for the villain, and
no, for sure, that's what makes a good villain.
I will say that on Kang's scale, if that be the route, it's a little less on my end because I don't.
Yeah.
But it's that love thing where it's like, oh, you know.
Oh, I think that's just to humanize him. I think we're also going to get the fact that Loki kind of brought it up. Is he the devil? No, because he's keeping it clean. I think that the story is going to be the heroes at the end finding a way to do what He Who Remains does without pruning all the timelines.
Exactly.
That's the eventual end game, I think.
No way to keep it under control.
Exactly. But all right, man. So moving on from there, a lot unfolds. It's like somebody here, I think it was Matthew, brought up the elevator scene, which had him dying. Same here. Now we got to see, we got to see that elevator scene when they released, I believe, like a little clip of that a few days ago, right? So we got to see that. So it kind of took away from the moment. I'm not gonna lie, because I knew what I was expecting. But regardless, even watching that the second time around, I giggled because
I didn't know they released it. I like avoid clips at all costs, so I didn't even know they released it. So I'm happy I didn't see that. Wow.
But it was well executed. Like, you just see Loki and Mobius having such a deep, serious conversation. The guy's in the process of literally time slipping, looking horrendous. Mobius is explaining that it looks grotesque, and then you have that girl right there, like mortified, absolutely mortified. But it was a great scene. Now, that elevator scene is also important because Mobius mentions we're going completely off the route here, and they go to visit OB. What a character. I thought he was awesome. Yeah, well done.
Well, like his actor, man, he's an Academy Award winner now, just recently. So he brought it to the role. I loved him. He was so funny. Oh, just what he brought, even as a character, and that like he's slowly remembering what he like. Meeting Loki in the past and it was super interesting. I loved it.
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely. Chiapet, what'd you think of Obi?
I've seen him. I saw him in that American Chinese recently. I saw him in a few other things, and I remember him obviously from Indiana Jones and Goonies. And he, there's something about him that you just adore.
Yeah,
I can't there's he plays it so well, so empathetic, and so even the part where he later, we'll talk about it later on, where he had to make a choice, he emotes so well on the screen. I think that's what it is. He does things just with his face, just by his presence, and as a character, every single one of them has their own little quirky niche, and you like every one of them in their own way. And the elevator scene, even the build up with the scene right before where he first tells him it's okay. It's not bad. It's not bad. So like the build up where you know he's lying and then
Yeah.
he breaks down and he says it, like it's
Terrible.
just honestly it's I love the whole build up and that whole thing that you saw how long ago they've been there.
Yep.
400 years, you know. And one thing I want to add that I forgot to mention, what was very interesting is when Kang replaced the CBA, the TVA with the mural and everything and hit it and wiped the people's minds, he didn't really rebuild it. Like I'm wondering if it's possible to rebuild, and if it's just somebody else taking over and you have to constantly be there. That thing, you know, are they just building on top of another of previous cultures? It's interesting.
He was cutting costs, maybe, you know, it was just cheaper.
Exactly.
You never know.
Sustainability, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I actually want to bring up a comment that came up here by Colossus Collector, my brother, and hopefully I'll get him on a Sunday show. But yeah, so the workshop was awesome. Like I was saying at the beginning of the show, man. Obi, yes, had a great scenery, a great shot, but the entire episode, I thought, really they nailed it when it came to the scenery. They like that, even the little not products, but like the little stuff they had on set. It's just so good, man. It really, I thought it was awesome. But Obi himself, the character was great. I thought, you know, he's going to be that fun character that people enjoy throughout the season. I could see him, you know, being a favorite out of this. But Miss Minutes. We need to talk about Miss Minutes because Loki tells Mobius straight up, don't contact Miss Minutes.
Nope.
She's on the other side. She's on the other side. So and with great reason. He says he saw her with Kang.
Yeah.
So she's basically a double agent at this point.
She's a Kang supporter. We don't trust her. She's a Kang supporter. We don't like that.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you guys. I expect that Timeless One Miss Minutes comic to start making the lists here and there within the next couple of weeks.
Top 10. It's hitting. Top 10 this week.
She was a great addition to the whole pantheon of this whole story arc. It's just such a quirky thing. I think I was watching the Kingpins. They were discussing that Faces Hall was all Miss Minutes. And when is she going to appear in her actual book? Is she going to appear in the new Avengers run because they're dealing with Kang? Because her first appearance in an actual book, not just cover, if it ever happens, it'll pop off. She's just too lovable and menacing at the same time.
No,
as long as it's not overprinted, as long.
They all are overprinted.
Yeah. But back to Obi. So we were talking about the shop. We were talking about time slipping up until now. Now we see Loki and Mobius in the shop with Obi, and now we have the interaction taking place between Owen Wilson, Mobius, and Obi, and he's asking him questions where he doesn't have the answers right at that point in time, saying he doesn't have certain things that they're looking for. But Loki time slips to the past in the same location talking to Obi, and as he's speaking to him, the future Obi's remembering things, and things even appear in the future for Mobius, Obi, and Loki. So that right there, kind of what you were saying, Chiapet, how, you know, it's different from the way time works in the regular timeline of the MCU, where we saw Chris Evans and the entire team going back to place the stones and so forth, saying they can't do certain things, right? But now we're looking at this point where there's changes and it impacts the future. So I almost feel like maybe you don't want to lose the capacity of time slipping because you can do so much. Right? You can do so much. Time slip yourself back to that moment where, you know, of Avengers 1, we might have a whole different MCU.
Literally. Oh my god.
But what'd you guys think about that concept?
I really like it. It's like I always like the concept of outside of time and space, and they're really proving to us that it's outside of time and space. They're not trying to follow the rules of Endgame again. Like they're doing their own thing, but you could tell that it has meaning to something. Like they're not just doing it without thinking. Like I don't know. That whole scene just worked for me. I like it reminded me of a movie, but I can't remember which one. No, it reminded me of the Watch. I haven't seen that. It's the Watchmen show. That's what it was.
Okay.
Wonderful show.
You guys seen it?
Yeah, wonderful.
they do the same thing with Doctor Manhattan when they're doing the grandfather effect,
Yeah.
where except in the show it's literal, and that he's talking to the person's grandfather, and as it's playing out, he's like, oh, and he's screwing up the past because of the future. It's cool. I like it.
For me, that scene where they were that scene is when I go, oh man, I turned to my brother. I was watching it, and I'm like, oh man, they're nailing the directing. Like the sets were incredible from the beginning. Every little detail, like you said, the car, the newspaper, the background, everything was amazing. The poster that already had Kang there fighting, and they just never noticed it. And he said, "Hey, that's coming." Those Kangs are coming. Like all that stuff is nailed.
I found that very cool how you saw him in that like ancient stone with all the Kangs coming down. Yeah.
So that was incredible. But the part where they're directing and that's when I said about how Obi was emoting when he was talking.
Mm-hmm.
Like you noticed like him changing and like an epiphany happening to him while he's talking. And that's how you know what kind of actor he is. Because you could see his face changing subtly. And it was just so well edited. I thought it was perfection, to be honest.
Even the little things of him saying the same lines, like in the past, I love that. Like that's great. I was laughing. That was great.
Yeah. No, that was awesome. But one thing I do want to bring up here, Matthew brings up a good point. Editing was on point, cutting back and forth for comedic effect. Yes, I thought there was a perfect balance here, right? There was not too much comedy. It felt very serious. There were moments like I was telling Anthony and Chiapet before we started the show.
Yeah.
I remember watching it, and there were moments where I felt it in my stomach, like, okay, it's getting intense, like that. The sci-fi was good, but so was that suspense. So it was well executed, in my opinion. And again, this comes back to the scenery, right? With the props on stage and so forth. You look at that one little detail of the Kangs coming down. Like if you turned around, if you turned too fast, you missed it, right? Like.
Yeah.
If your wife was nudging you, saying, "Hey, look at my look at this little TikTok," no, you missed it. but yeah, man, I thought all of that was awesome. But before we move on, infamous Jeb's in the house. I just wrapped up a show with him on Sunday. Definitely go catch that replay. Jeb is a blast, an absolute blast.
Yeah, the best.
RP's in the chat. We have Lady Fantastic. So appreciate you guys coming out. Now, moving on from there. Now Mobius and Obi have the prop they need in order to fix Loki's time slipping, which again, I can't put enough emphasis on it. I would definitely want to continue to time slip. There are moments when I'm with my kids, they're driving me crazy. If I could go back to those days playing video games at my parents, I'm okay with that.
You can't control it.
Right?
The days I'm in right now, don't worry.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So it was. Now we get to the point where they got to fix this for Loki to stop time slipping. And the gun, I forgot what the actual thing was called because it was a weird name that I've never heard of before.
The temporal machine or something.
There you go. It was something like that. It kind of reminded me of a sushi that I eat with tempura. But but yeah. So he has it now in the future because he time slipped to the past, right? He kind of manipulated him with questions and so forth, telling him I need this and whatever. So they have it, and now they got to enter that room where now Mobius has to put on the suit. I found it pretty funny how the suit is pretty much like an astronaut suit. He's got to go out to shoot the gun at that whole timeline thing going on, and there's a crack in the face of that suit. He just puts duct tape on it, just a duct tape.
It's funny because it's also missing the A and TVA, so
yes, it was faded out. It was faded out.
If that was great.
Yeah, but it was that moment. That's when things start to feel a little intense. Like I was telling you guys a little just before, you felt that like in the pit of your stomach, like okay, you're starting to get nervous. Now you already know at some point within this scene. I mean, we have 6 episodes. Things can't go that wrong in episode 1, right? But Mobius now has to put on the suit to make his way out, and they've got very short time to get this done. There's a time frame, a window, and unfortunately, as things are underway, Loki time slips. Right now, this time slip is it's not just any time slip. He goes to the future. Immediately when he ended up at the future, and he saw everything happening, I thought to myself, Well, if he's in the future, he must have made it. Right? That's what I was thinking. Is something must happen here that he makes it. So we see there's a phone ringing. Loki's making his way, while Mobius is still moving forward with what he has to do, right, in order to save Loki from time slipping any further. He's out there, so Mobius is out pretty much in that timeline space, whatever you want to call it, and you have Loki in the future making his way gradually to that ringing phone. We get to the ringing phone. There's an elevator there that's starting to creep open. Let me know what you guys thought about this scene right here. Okay, we'll start with just that summary here. What did you guys think out the gate with this, and were you feeling that stress too in the pit of your stomach?
The suspense, man, it was getting to me. That's all I could say. I was just like, wow. It was just the way it was building up. Loki. What the first thought? I didn't realize he was in the future till he sees the word skin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, the time slipped into the future. So what does that mean for it? Like, because they made it seem like it was only the past at first. He was only going back to the past. Him in the future. I'm like, okay. So yeah, the TVA didn't break down. He's obviously gonna make it back. But it was more like the question how. And we don't even have all the answers yet. And you know it's gonna pay off by the end of the season. What it all means, who did it, what's Sylvie doing there? You know, it's.
I just thought of something when Jolanda was going through the recap, because I always thought I was thinking to myself, who pruned them back, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. My first question was, I'm like, oh, it had to be Mobius because he's the only person that knew. But
that's what I was thinking.
If, as you said, the fact that the TVA exists, it means he made it back, right? That means we know that.
Yeah.
So that means at that moment when Loki time skips to the future, there are two Lokis at the same time. So the person who pruned them is future Loki. That's why Sylvie sees him and says, "There you are," because she's looking for future Loki. So there's two Lokis at that building. So Loki knows that he has to time to go there to prune himself back, to save himself, to make sure he gets there in the future and save the future.
Now
that's good.
That kind of makes sense. I don't disagree. The only thing I want to say is because we sort of skipped ahead, but
we jumped the shark. I know.
Elevator scene. Sylvie. Now we see Sylvie. Finally, at the end of the episode, Sylvie is there, and she opens up the elevator door and saying, "There you are." You understand? So she's been looking for Loki, and she finally finds Loki. Now, at that moment, again, that phone kept ringing. I want to know what was that phone. I think that is something that they left off for us to figure out maybe in a future episode. I imagine we'll revisit that timeline.
100%.
Exactly. So that particular moment, we need to find out who pruned Loki, because Loki does get pruned back in time when the clock finally hits the green section, where it was that little window of when Loki needs to be pruned in order to make sure that he stops time slipping. So he time slips, he gets pruned. Now I like Chiapet's theory here on both theories. He said prior to us coming on here, and maybe he had a little change of heart. He said,
"You did it. It's your fault."
Yeah, sorry. But he said, maybe it's a future Mobius at that point in time knew that this was going to happen, right? Because of the past event. Now, could it be that? I actually like the theory of maybe it's a second Loki, the future Loki, right? That did make it and had to get that pruning down. Maybe everything's been in turmoil ever since, right? Because until that took place, right? If the past, at that timeline, Loki did not get pruned, and they're already in the future, things must have hit the fan. Maybe Mobius didn't make it at that point in time. I don't know. Did they just change? Again, that's what I'm saying is with the time slipping, they had the capacity of changing things in the future, right? So at that point in time, if it's a future Loki or somebody else, we still don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But that pruning maybe saved everything for the future, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nick might have nailed it with that one. I can't even lie.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. It's either one of the other, right?
That or Loki has some haters at the TVA. They're looking for him, and they're like, "We gotta get rid of this guy right now." It's just a random TVA agent. You never
there you
go. The key for me when that one was Sylvie saying, there you are." It's almost she could have been talking to him or the one behind him, which is you get it.
But that's that's exactly where I instantly agreed with you because you said Sylvie says there you are, and I'm like, he nailed it.
Because
what do I even say as a theory? Like
I'm
I
thinking
can't top
that's Sylvie and Loki attacking or going to this, not present Loki, future Loki, going to the TVA together. So she's looking for him together. They've already met up. They've already done their plan, whatever plan X is to stop the TVA or to save the TVA. They're there together. So she's looking for him in the building. I think they're going to meet earlier than episode whatever that is, 3, 4, 2, whatever it is. I don't think they're going to wait for that long to find Sylvie and Loki to meet up soon. I think it's going to come faster than we think.
Now we will speak Sylvie in just a bit, because there's something that happens after the credits, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. But now he got pruned and he gets sent back, and Mobius is trying to make his way back. What Obi had already closed the door during that time frame, making it seem that much more intense. Where we got to let him go. He's lost in time now. That's it. We've lost Loki. He made the reference of the black hole, and you turn into a spaghetti. That's pretty much where their mindset is we've lost Loki. That's it. He's gone. But instead, because of that pruning, he made his way back just in time to literally land on Mobius, push him into the room, doors closed. Yay. Wow. That's so, movie like. Yeah. But that was the moment, right? So they make it back into the room, and now it seems is that moving forward, Loki won't be time slipping.
No, I don't think so. I think it's done.
Exactly. So this brings me to a question. We didn't see Jonathan Majors at all, other than structural. There was a lot of structural stuff of Jonathan Majors. I think Marvel was really hoping things panned out perfectly, because I could only imagine how much on costs when it comes to all of this stuff they've developed surrounding Jonathan Majors, right? That was a lot of CGI and so forth. Literally, the first statue, the show starts with the face.
It's the opening shot is Jonathan Majors.
Exactly, and then that truck that we were talking about smashes into Jonathan Majors' face. So
it's clipped.
So there's just a lot of stuff there that I can imagine they were hoping for things to pan out properly. But regardless, now they're back in the room, and things now start to take a little bit of a turn, right? Loki now saw Sylvie. There's the phone that was ringing. It's always going to bother me until I find out why it was ringing. Was it done intentionally to say that was the moment? Somebody must have been making that call. Was it Kang himself? Who knows? There's many theories that we can spitball, but I imagine we'll find out shortly. But now let's talk about when they get back into the room, right? We start to get towards the end of the episode, and refresh my memories. Shortly after they get into that room, was Obi there? I can't remember if he was there.
Which when
Loki?
Yeah, I think Obi was there. He came down to see them. Yeah, and then they walked. Then they got called by the other hunter.
There you go.
The one that pruned Mobius.
Yes.
The one that was loyal to Ravonna.
Yeah.
And the one that said sorry to them. So he came there and said, Dox is doing whatever, I think, right? And then they ran. No. That's not what happened. It's Loki came back and said, we got to go find Sylvie. And then they left the room. And then they saw the whole marching band of people with armaments saying they were going for Sylvie. But they're not going for Sylvie. They're obviously going to prune other timelines, I presume.
Exactly. And they even said that they had a doubt about what they were doing, right? So you see the TVA now starting to take off to another timeline and saying they're going to find Sylvie, but they themselves said they had doubts at that point. So the show pretty much ends at this point. Yeah. Right? Credits hit us. We're left in, wanting more. And Marvel did a great job. I think overall was a great episode. But before we get into recapping what we thought of the episode as an overall, maybe if you guys want to do the grading on 10, feel free. We'll do this. Chat, comments, let us know what you guys thought as well if you're watching the replay. But we get the post-credit scene. And Sylvie ends up in the United States of America, right? In Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Midwest.
Yep.
Exactly. 1984 or 1982?
Exactly. No, it was 1992.
92.
I think it was 92.
No, I think it was 82.
82.
Because that was
Okay.
that was vintage at McD's.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry. 82. And she sees McDonald's. Yes. And we've
Yeah.
all been anticipating this. We've seen the promos,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
We've seen all
exactly.
of this cool stuff. So it's fun to see that we got that McDonald's thing right away in the post-credit scene. But no, she's not working there. She ends up there,
Not
walks
yet.
into the place. Exactly. Walks into the place, gets to the counter saying she wants to order anything. I think she said without a face.
No rats.
I'm gonna be
Squirrels.
honest with you. If somebody came in ordering such a thing, I'd be calling the cops. I'd be like, "This person is deranged. Get her,
Yeah.
get her the hell out of here."
Dressed the way she was.
Yeah, dressed the way she was, I might think twice. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't
She
know.
she looked good.
That to me just seems like a normal night in downtown Montreal. So I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. 1982. Yeah, okay. So we
1982.
got it. Yeah, Asgard was in Oklahoma in the 616.
That's a good call.
Yeah,
It was.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
There you go. Some of us were old enough to live it the first time. I'm born in '89, so I got the end of that.
Well,
I mean-
I'm up there with Cliff. So 76 boys. So yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Not me.
I believe we have a birthday. I don't know if this is a reference.
No, that's a TikTok joke.
Okay, I'm not a TikToker.
Yeah.
guys,
So
but
it's the youngsters.
there you go. There you go.
Grimace is the purple guy, Ronald McDonald's friend, and like he had his birthday promo like a couple months ago, and people were like, they had the Grimace shake. No,
Oh, okay. So
no, yeah.
no idea, guys. Just to show you guys how out of the loop I am with all these trends and TikToks, but
Yeah.
yeah, so we get the post-credit scene. She's making the order. The guy's telling her what they have. Like, we got the new chicken nuggets. When I heard new chicken nuggets, I was like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but making the order, and she's looking around, seeing all these people living regular lives, and she says, I want everything, and that's it. Post-credit scene done.
Mhm.
So I'm curious now to see, because we've seen her already working in the McDonald's, right? At one
Yeah.
point we've seen it in
Yeah.
preview. So I don't know if this is the time where it's gonna happen. Does she end up, eating the food, loving it so much that she sends her CV, applies to work there, makes some
Yeah.
dough, whatever it may be? But post-credit scene was fair. I think that was probably my only negative takeaway is, we see Sylvie ending up there.
Yeah.
I didn't think much of that, but yes, exactly. McDonald's paid money for this ad.
That's
100%.
exactly what I was gonna say. I'll say they put a McDonald's ad in the mid credits, and they thought we wouldn't notice, So
Yep. But
I had heard that they wanted to use McDonald's beforehand.
really?
Yeah. They wanted to, because of the time and how popular it was as far as Americana at the time.
Dan. Shout out to Dan for swinging by, but yeah, okay. Well, I guess that's interesting. But what was your thoughts on the actual post-credit scene? Like, did it impact you in any way? Did you care for it? Like, what was your thoughts?
I'm just excited for the next episode where the post credit scene could have been anything. So I was like, it worked for me. It's very clear to me that Sylvie just wants to live a life, something she could never do. So that's why she went to McD's, and I was like, oh, this is a great place. I could live my life here.
She's loving it. She's loving
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
For me, I mean, it was just basically, I think, a way to just jumpstart the setting for next episode.
Yep.
Like, okay, this is where Sylvie is. If you had that question, tune in next episode to see where she's at.
Yeah.
So it was more just like an extra 3 minutes that they added on here, a little bit of fun teaser, but nothing really like compared to the rest of the show where you were like on your edge of your seat, laughing, tense, Doctor Who vibes throughout the whole thing. Like, this is trippy and awesome. No, it wasn't the same thing. It wasn't that kind of level.
Yep. No, I agree. And I think, what's fun about this show is that now, because we're also ending up in the real world with these characters who are time jumping, we're also getting hit in the nostalgia feels, right? We're seeing some things like this, like McDonald's and so forth. So it would be fun to see some other things. Maybe we'll get a Blockbuster. We lost a Blockbuster here, right? So who knows? But yeah, guys, so that was episode 1 of Loki. Now, before we wrap up the show, I want to know, one, what was your overall thoughts on the show? Give us your grading. Let me know your grading on a 10, whatever you think it was. And what do you foresee taking place in the next episode or future episodes?
So for rating, I'm so used to on my podcast. We always review it at the end. So trying to review like one episode is such a struggle for me.
It is. It really is. I hate it, but we'll do it.
Yeah. So if I had to give a rating, I'd probably give like a 9. I never give number ratings to anything.
Yep.
So it's just like it's a solid start. You know, it was a strong season start. I didn't think, because people had said that episode 1 was the weakest. A lot of people were saying online. There's a lot of like science mumbo jumbo and whatnot. But I was actually, so I kind of went in and were like, okay, maybe it's not going to be the best episode. I watched them like, no, this is actually really good. People are just mean online, you know? Who would have thought?
Yep.
But so that being said, what do I expect to come next? You know, where do I begin? I just, the adventures of Mobius and Loki, you know, they're gonna have to, obviously we know they're gonna meet Victor Timely.
Yeah.
That is so exciting for me to see. I want to see if we're gonna revisit He Who Remains. The guy died. I don't know, like, if he's gonna go back, see the creation of the TVA. That's something I'd love to see. Could be interesting.
Definitely.
You know, what else could we say? More McDonald's. You know, you can never get too much of that.
Big Macs. There it is.
You know,
Big Macs. There you go.
We're gonna see the first appearance of the Big Mac. You never know.
Yeah.
No, my I just saw somebody say my blinds are not metallic. No,
They're not.
no, they're not metallic.
He's a neat freak.
Yeah, I haven't cleaned them, but they're clean. The light makes them look good, I guess.
There you go. Chiapet, what were your thoughts, man?
I'm like Anthony. I'm like a 8, 9. I mean, this was. I do agree that it's weird that people got used to reviewing movies, right? So a movie would be, and then we extended this to like shows.
Yep.
And now we're reviewing episodes, and like I remember, like some people are complaining, like not in this case, like in other times they're like, oh, but this doesn't happen. I found that in Ahsoka sometimes, and then like, hey man, wait till she goes through what she went through, and then you see you gotta wait for the growth. It wasn't the case here. You know, to be honest with you, I thought the episode was great, but I do think that we should reserve judgment for shows at the end of the season. But yeah, as far as one episode goes, I thought it was they nailed it through the roof, from the music, from the pacing, from the sets, from the editing. I thought it was top notch. I thought it was as good as the first season. To be honest with you, probably better. I felt it was more confidence directing. I felt it was more style in the directing, and I felt the actual tone of the show, though funny on the surface, because the characters are so charismatic. Because Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston are just on point in their charisma.
Yes,
it's a lot more dark. You know, like it's underbelly there. And as far as where they're gonna go, I think by the end of the season, they realize that they can't fix the timeline.
Yeah,
and they're gonna have to start finding ways to save the timeline.
Yeah,
and I think that's where we're gonna start the beginning of. I have a theory that I've been telling Anthony and
bring it.
I believe,
put it online.
I believe, and I don't know if anybody else said it, because I watch a lot of like theory videos, like New Rock Stars, and they're all amazing. Like, so maybe I even picked it off on one of those guys, Heavy Spoiler, Screen Crush. They're all incredible, but I think the Void is actually Battle World.
Yeah.
I think that's where they're going to end up sending the things that they could save.
Yeah,
I think that's where it is.
I'm in total agreement with you. We've seen the Void even in season 1, right? When Loki ends up at the end of time, and you see that Thanos helicopter, right?
Yeah,
you see so much.
It's
stuff,
already there. They've showed us it.
Exactly, man. You saw the Kang Tower, right? So there's a lot that made me wonder, like, okay, if these made it to the end of time, right? What got it here? Why? So I feel like your theory makes perfect sense, because when we do get to Secret Wars, because obviously Kang Dynasty, they're gonna lose. The Avengers, they're gonna copy paste the Infinity War Endgame, right? So we're gonna expect that the current Avengers are gonna lose, and I mean rightfully so. Let's be honest, we don't have an A-list Avengers going on at the moment.
It's not the all-star lineup from the first one.
No, exactly. But I like the theory. I really like the theory that this is most likely Battle World. I expect now, seeing the division after episode 1 between the TVA and other people, Mobius and so forth, that maybe the TVA themselves are going to set this up for Battle World with Kang.
Yes. Yeah. I think what I'm thinking is, you know how Reed eventually started to realize in the Hickman run, which is the greatest crossover event of all time.
Yeah.
But I'm a Hickman mark, so whatever the guy does, but where Reed realized when Valeria sent him a letter and said, "You can't win. You have to figure out a way to not lose."
Yeah.
Okay. I think the TVA is going to realize they can't save it, so they can't save the multiverse anymore.
So let Secret Wars happen.
But almost let's save what we can.
Yeah.
And that we could put it there and figure it out later. So they're going to be taking refugees from different parts of different multiverses and hoping to save it eventually. Maybe Obi would be involved in this, right? Because he's smart. So why they create this character? So I think we're going to eventually see that plan come to the end of this. That's what they're going to come up to at the end of the show. They're going to realize we got to save as much as we can. It's all falling apart, right? And then you watch the falling apart from different people, like from Doctor Strange and from other people. But I think that's what we're going to get by the end of the show. Them realizing it's falling apart and they have to figure it out. And Loki and Sylvie and the team are going to figure out how to keep it all together till they can figure it out. That's what I think. That's the end game of this season.
And it makes perfect sense. Now, I've been seeing a lot of theories online, and you had a great theory as well, Chiapet, regarding where this season might end, and who might make an appearance at the end of this. So let's see if we can guess it now for episode 1, and get to episode 6. We'll come back, maybe even play this back to see whether we were right or wrong. But predictions that the void is Battle World. The second prediction would be TVA, right? Helps set up Battle World Secret Wars. That is the second one. But 3, we've been seeing recent rumors that Hugh Jackman, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, and we've got Tobey Maguire apparently leading the way.
My guy.
Do you think this season ends on a note that ties to Deadpool?
Go, Anthony.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay,
Go
my bad. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say I don't know if it's gonna be as direct as we think, because with this actor strike and all, like maybe I don't know if they filmed anything for Loki season 2. Like actually seeing Ryan Reynolds,
I think Loki was already wrapped up before the strike. So
but Loki was also, they said it was the only show that they did no reshoots on. So start to finish, he had a vision, and they completed it. Zero problems. So that being said, I think based off what we've seen from set photos from Deadpool 3 and whatnot, I think it is gonna tie in for sure, because it looked like him and Wolverine were fighting in the void with the giant Fox logo in the background and everything, which I cannot wait to see that movie.
Yeah.
Wow. And so my prediction is yes, it's gonna tie into Deadpool 3 by the finale.
You want me to go, or you want to go?
It's all you, Chiapet.
Oh, I think there's definitely gonna be a reference. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be an actor, but it could just be on the keypad that they see the name Wade Wilson or something, or Logan. Those are the people that they need to go find for a specific event. I just wonder how they're gonna verbalize, or how they're gonna use to describe what their plan is. That's what I'm curious about, what the plan is, and I'm hoping that Obi sticks around to help guide them in their plan, because I think he's such a breath of fresh air, and and I think Loki, as being like this leader of this band of misfits, it's just so from screaming out how he wanted to be what was it? I am Loki of Asgard. I have
burdened with glorious
purpose. And in a way, he actually is getting his glorious purpose. His arc is outstanding. I'm sure it's not all intentional, but the way it's dovetailed to this point, and I'm so glad that they cast Hiddleston and they found Owen Wilson for him. I mean, honestly, they carry the show.
Insane. Yeah, the chemistry is great.
Is there a better bromance in media right now?
We've yet to see Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds together, but I think that's going to be.
Oh, you're right. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's going to be up there. But I agree with you guys. I give it an 8. I give it a solid 8. I'm not one that it really enjoys grading episodes, but I feel like we're doing breakdowns of episodes. Why not? Let's get into this.
Let's go for it.
This current trend.
All in.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm pumped, and I definitely foresee some tie to the Deadpool movie by the end of this one. I think it would make sense, right? Already the timelines are going bananas. I would see it, right? We saw, Deadpool 2, the cable gun. He's gonna find Wolverine at some point in time, right? In order to get his movie with Hugh Jackman once and for all. We saw him with Taylor Swift and with uh yeah, it was Taylor Swift, Hugh Jackman, and Ryan Reynolds at the Chiefs game.
And
And
Uh,
Sean Levy, yeah.
Sean Levy too, yeah,
Montreal
exactly.
boy.
Yep. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. I think that Deadpool thing makes sense. So those are the three guesses after episode 1: is Battle World being the void, the TVA being behind, probably even setting up Secret Wars with Kang, because there are those that are still loyal and dedicated to Kang no matter what, right? And then third, the tie into Deadpool. So we'll come back to this episode once we get to episode 6. But guys, that's pretty much the show. We went through the entire episode. Let us know what you thought in the comments, live chat. We definitely appreciate you guys coming to hang out. We'll be doing this every single week for the next 5 episodes to come. So 6 episodes total of Beyond Time. Very fitting for what's going on. Where we're gonna just review each episode, and obviously, like I said, let us know what you guys think. We hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Chiapet, for your first time, you crushed it. Congrats.
Well,
Killed
we'll
it.
see. We'll see what the masses think.
Yep.
Don't listen to the haters. You did good. Don't listen to the haters.
We're gonna get a bunch of thumbs down on this video. But yeah, man. And Anthony, of course, guys, definitely go check out Anthony and his crew over at Reference Point Podcast. I've been listening now ever since Chiapet brought it up, and you guys put out some good stuff, man. So
thank you. I appreciate
you've got
it.
a new listener in me, that's for sure.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's great.
But all right, guys, that's the show. And like we said, definitely come back next Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be going through episode 2. And until then, I'm going live this Sunday with a special guest I'm going to announce on my Instagram tomorrow. And I'll be going live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So until next week, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. And we will see you next Thursday. Buenas noches.
Good night.